Hey, what's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to be giving you a little bit of an update. It's almost every video, there's a question, a comment, a concern, there's a message, there's a tweet, there's an email asking about how I'm doing health-wise. And I kind of want to go through it and explain what has happened and what's happening now. And as I'm saying this, I'm realizing that I might be scaring the shit out of some people. I want to start this off by saying I am cancer free. I am cured. It is gone. Most likely, the odds of it coming back are very, very, very small. But I live with that fear. But anyway, yeah, it's just I don't want to scare the crap out of people. So a year ago, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer, and that was March 3rd or 2nd, probably March. It was March 3rd. I remember it because it's the day before that awful Star Wars day. Um, and I'm coming up on the year anniversary, which is pretty crazy. But that happened, and I was immediately booked for surgery, and I had my right friend removed, and the margins were good. So that was a good sign. The margins are good. That means that the cord, the cancer hasn't traveled up the cord visibly, but there was a vascular invasion, which means that it left it had outgrown the part of origin. I'm not a doctor, so I can't really explain further than that. But it was looking okay, and the scan was okay, and I recovered from surgery, and I you know was trying to get my life back in order, and yeah, that news shook my world. It was pretty terrifying, and it was life changing, and everything since then, the last year has been very life changing. Um, I'm not the same person as I was before. Um, physically, mentally, and emotionally, I guess. But anyway, I'm digressing. I was on surveillance, which means that, they're keeping an eye on you because you had a tumor in your ball, and uh, if it comes back, it can be scary. So it did, and it did very quickly and very alarmingly, and it scared the crap out of a couple people, professionals, and I was like, oh, okay. So basically, I went from on surveillance to having stage three, 3B, I think. No, 3A, I'm not sure. It metastasized to my lungs. It filled up my lungs. So basically, yeah, I had cancer in my lungs now, which is not a good thing. Mainly because I know that the cancer that I had um, could mutate into something else that could pass the blood-brain barrier and go into my brain, and after that, that's life-threatening. Um, and it happened very quickly. The news came, and then I was in that chemo chair 3 days later. And I got my scan, my ultrasound, and all this stuff, and then the blood work because they have to make sure you can survive the chemo, and things like that. And that was hard. That was 3 months of not a good thing. Um, the the chemo that I was on, it was in the 90s. It was so bad that you would have to be in the 80s and 90s. It was so bad that you would have to be an inpatient. You'd have to stay in the hospital because you'd have to constantly be rehydrated, and it basically men would wither away. It was not a good thing. You'd just be vomiting all the time. Now, because of all the awesome drugs that are very expensive, but awesome nonetheless, now because of the awesome drugs, you don't get sick, but there's other things that are you're just transferring that feeling of nausea and things like that to something else. And that something else is I was curious because I wasn't curious. I was intrigued by it because I did the 4 cycles. I had to do four. Most people do three. I had to do four because I had a particular asshole kind of cancer that you want to hit it, kill it hard, kill it fast. I did the four, and they're in 3 week cycles. So like a full week of chemo, which is all the three drugs, which is cisplatin, etoposide, and bleomycin. You look those up, and you get pretty scared. I would do all three of those for the week, and then 2 weeks I would recover. But during those 2 weeks, I would still receive the bleomycin, which is basically there to just kind of kick the shit out of the the cancer so it can't recover while I'm recovering, and then they do it, they do it all over again. It's pretty nuts. It's so bad that cannot I cannot fathom how bad it is. Like I did the 4 cycles, right? So I had three kind of things in between. During it, it was the worst thing ever. But in between, I was like, oh, it's not that bad. I can't even imagine anything being that bad. And then it hits you again, and it's harder. And then the whole thing happens again. It's so bad, you can't even imagine how bad it is. And because of, well, the chemo drugs I was taking, that is devastating to your body. And then all the antiemetics I was taking and the steroids I was taking to prevent me from having an allergic reaction and dying, those had a very profound effect. And I had something called serotonin syndrome, which is very uncomfortable. Look it up. So imagine being on all these drugs, all this chemo stuff, um, and these antiemetics, and being so fatigued and tired and being bald and fat, and then you're basically hearing voices and hallucinating for 3 months. It was pretty bad. Um, it was a week of chemo, a week of recovery, and then a week of where I could kind of feel okay. Uh, Total Biscuit described it as you're so tired you can't even watch a movie on Netflix. And yeah, I could not even watch a movie on Netflix. It was just too exhausting. I I I remember just I could listen to things, but looking at something was way too painful to even look at it. The walls at the hospital, anything porous would hurt my body. Um, and I don't know why I'm describing this. I'm gonna scare people, but you should absolutely, it's a lot better than, being dead right now. So in the end, it was all worth it just to be over and done with it. And my doctors, I appreciate what they did, and the nurses and everything. But oh man, that was a devastating thing. So with all of that, I am not the same person. I have a couple of things. Let's start with the physical. So the physical is um, peripheral neuropathy, which is basically nerve damage. That's what the cisplatin does. Yeah, it can do some crazy stuff to your nerves. It can also do some stuff to your kidneys. Thankfully, my kidneys are good still. Boom, kidneys are excellent. They kept me hydrated. I kept myself hydrated. The kidneys were put under stress, but I'm a young guy. I'm not elderly, so there was no problems there. So I don't need a kidney transplant or anything. Um, so I have the painful neuropathy, which is in my hands and feet. It's in my feet more. Stepping on carpet is like stepping on hot coals. I have yeah, like I can't play on like push and stuff like that because it sends needles and pins and needles and stuff into my fingers. And the cold is really bad. Like picking up a cup, someone hands me a coffee, I'm like, I cannot touch that. You have to like put like four tea cozies around it because I can't touch that. Yeah, super painful there, and it can grow back, but it might not. And if it is in the best of conditions, it will repair at a rate of a centimeter a month. A centimeter a month. Imagine that. That's like like a centimeter a month, really? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's ridiculous. But yeah, that's how long it takes for nerves to grow back. And my feet are numb all the time, but not in the awesome like stranger kind of way. uh, they're just numb and stuff like that. And like the carpet that's like shag. There's like a shag carpet that's outside the shower, and every time I step on that, it's like I might as well be stepping on like really pointy rocks at a beach or something like that. Anyway, uh, that's the physical. So there's things like that, and little things like if I go in my pocket and I pull out change, it's like hard to like get the change and like pick things up, or like go through paper, like handle money, or like unfold a receipt or something like that. It's like yeah, wacky stuff like that. Typing, I'm a little bit slower at typing, and my mouse movements aren't that great. Other physical stuff, just because people wanted to know. So there was some tinnitus, and there might be some hearing damage, but not as much as there could have been. I guess I'll never know. I had really good hearing before, and maybe I just have the hearing of the average person in my age range. So I'll take it. So yeah, hearing is good, and tinnitus is like not as much. Like the ringing, it's basically stopped in the recent months. The lung damage, that was one. That was one that was crazy. So the bleomycin is there, and it attacks the cancer at a different level. So all three drugs basically attack the cancer from like three different angles. So basically, yeah. So there's no chance for it in the best of cases, and this is the best we got, and it worked for me. So I appreciate it. But the bleomycin affects the lungs, and it can cause pulmonary fibrosis, which is scarring of the lungs, which means when I'm 60, I might need to be on oxygen, which sucks. But they gave me some really powerful steroids to prevent an allergic reaction, and the cancer drugs are basically out of your body within hours. So, it's just one of those things. You got to take it. I had really good lungs, like really good, like 120%, and then now I'm like 90 something. So I'm still like smack dab in average. So my lungs were affected by a quarter, but my lungs were so good to begin with that they're pretty good now. And also, the whole thing about you're not as active and you're sick, so like your muscles kind of atrophy, and then all the steroids and the drugs kind of like atrophy your muscles. Building up the muscles has been one thing, but I feel stronger than before in terms of my muscle like rigidity. Like I'm chopping wood and stacking wood and stuff, but like you know the joints and you know I wasn't a bath person, but since the chemo thing, the only thing that was like kind of tolerable would be like an Epsom salt bath and stuff. And I'd lay down and I would actually get stuck. I wouldn't be able to get out because like your joints and stuff give out. Anyway, that's a physical. Mentally, there's a condition with all the drugs. So all the drug, yeah, they do a number on you. But there's a thing called chemo brain or brain fog, where you basically are stupid for a little while and you have a very difficult time focusing. I'll give you an example. So there's there's three light switches over here, and then there's three light switches over here. So it's a two-way. So you go in through one door, you can turn a light switch from that door on the other door, vice versa. And like you don't have to walk across a dark room to turn off the lights or turn them on or things. You know what I mean? So um, keep that in your memory. So visualize one of the. So if you can imagine that up doesn't mean on all the time. Down can mean on one of them. Things like that. They get jumbled up. There was some occasion. That's one occasion. That's one example that stuck out in my memory. I was flicking them off, and lights were turning on, and I couldn't figure out why. And I was so confused because I click a thing and I look at what light was on, and then I'd be like, okay, that's weird. And I click it again, and then I look and light was off, but then I just turn it off again. Like I couldn't hold the idea of like what three light switches were doing to three lights in a room. And that's an example of chemo brain. And I'm more forgetful. And there's super awesome medication that can help with that. And yeah, I'm being well taken care of in that regard. So it's not so much of an issue, but there are occasions where if I have an idea, I have to like write it down or like do it. So I always have, like notepads and stuff like that and like pens and things. Because if I think of something, I'll be like, hey, cool, I'm going to do that. 3 seconds later, I'll totally forget. And I'll be like, what's going on? And like the other things, like I don't know how to pronounce words sometimes, and I guess talking about like music production and stuff like that, I'm pretty comfortable with that, and that's really like ingrained in my brain, so I don't really forget. But sometimes, yeah, you'll catch me. I'll forget what I'm doing, and I'll cover it up by like digressing into another conversation. It's something that I notice, and it's like, yeah, kind of, yeah. What else? Yeah, and that's mental. That's mental stuff. And emotional stuff, there's like the whole thing of like, for the last year, my life has been like so rigid. You have like your blood test every 2 weeks. You got your scan every 2 months, every 3 months now. You got this appointment, that appointment. Everything's rigid and written down, and your partner is amazing, and she like prepares these meals for you, and all this stuff. Oh, by the way, my taste is pretty good. Um, that's another story about my food cravings. Anyway, so it just happened. I totally forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, it just happened. So, oh yeah, so everything's rigidly planned. And then you get the chemo, and the chemo is very rigid. It's like noon, 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 noon. You get up, you crawl to the chemo chair, you do the treatment, you crawl back, you lay down, and you beg for death. And then you're done. And then you're just like, all right, cool, you're good. We need to watch you for a while. But then it's like, hey, go back to whatever you were doing. And I kind of struggle with that for a couple days. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know. It's like being institutionalized in prison. Like you get out and you're completely fucked up. That's kind of what it felt like. And then I was I was in the room with people that were older than me, and some of them didn't make it. And how did I make it? Like how like it's called survivorship guilt, and it's something that occurs with me sometimes. Like if I'm being a little bit lazy, or I want to have a tasty adult beverage, or, I play a game on Steam, or I play whatever, I'll be like, I'm such a piece of shit. I should be out sailing and running around naked or something. I don't know what you do, buying a sports car. So there's that survivorship guilt, and how I combat that is I try to do things, you know what I mean? I try to be of service, and it's hard to explain. And people in the club uh, know what that's all about. But yeah, yeah. I got hair. I got hair again. and that's good. That's a good sign. Um, my skin isn't flaking. Yeah, you should see me out there. I'm pretty good. I'm doing well. And this will be hopefully the last video I do on this. I don't like talking about it, and I'm kind of superstitious, and I don't want to jinx anything. I'm refusing to shave or cut my hair. This beard and everything is uncut, unshaven from when I was bald until now. And yeah, I'm a superstitious guy. And yeah, I'm gonna go to the follow-ups every 3 months with my tail between my legs, terrified, vibrating, dry mouth, scared than I've ever been. And I get the scan, and you know, I'm just preparing for everything because I don't want to do it again. And if I have to, I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna be a cancer patient for the next 5 years. And after 5 years, then you're good. So hopefully within that 5 years, I will have 10,000 videos and um, 1 million subscribers, and a couple other projects that I'm working on will be done, and the hair will be down to here. Yeah, so that's that video, and I hope this cleared some things up. You don't need to worry. Don't worry about me. Uh, take care and have a good one.